Hello everybody, good evening and welcome into Dog Zone, where we look back to Thursday evening in the running of the Group 1, the Fitz Sports Bar New Zealand Oaks, and we'll also look forward to Friday evening where we have 4 heats of the New Zealand Futurity taking place at Wanganui. Neither of those things are the highlight of the show. The highlight of the show is the great man himself is back in his hot seat. Mark Rosanowski, welcome back.
Andy, how am I supposed to respond to that? I've missed you. Gee, I've missed you over the last fortnight. I did watch the Oaks though. Thoroughly enjoyed that, obviously. It's an interesting time of the year, isn't it? As we start to move into winter and the Group 1s are finished for the thoroughbreds. I really enjoyed the jumping season for the gallopers, but it is quiet in terms of Group 1 action there, obviously, Andy. With the trots, of course, we've just come through the Easter down at Addington and we're into the Road Cup Carnival. So Friday nights at the moment, a great entertainment on TAB Trackside 1 with what we've got coming up in the Futurity over the next 2 Friday nights, and of course the Road Cup Carnival to harness wise. So I think for the 2 codes, the next couple of Friday nights are pretty special.
Let's wind the clock back to Thursday evening and the running of the Group 1, the Fitz Sports Bar New Zealand Oaks. It was taken out by the dog in the black and white striped rug of box 2, Opawa Hop.
Field away, best out of Power Hop. Go Glow, a good beginning going up Bahama Queen, and off the track Ophelia Ellen, a great charge into the first corner. Power Hop's come out ahead of Go Glow, 4 lengths away Ophelia Ellen, 3 to Gem, a length and a half back Gaz's Girl. There followed No Shame, Bahama Queen got the shuffle. Back that last there is Busy Flash, but on the corner Power Hop, Go Glow tries hard and behind, but into the straight. Power Hop, the favourite's going to win the New Zealand Oaks for 2019 will score. Second, Go Glow. There followed.
You're joined by Dave Fahey. Dave, you had a cherry ripe on the night and she's been far too good.
Yeah, we did a wee bit of box practice this morning and it's done the trick.
Certainly has. 30:01 the time clocked. We know she's fast, and when she gets on the lure, they just can't beat her.
Yeah, well, she really showed her true worth today.
You've won a lot of Group 1s, Dave. You've managed to trifecta this one. How does that stand in terms of passion, and how does it feel trifectaing a Group 1?
Oh, amazing. I think I've done it once before, but it was a great thrill, and winning on your home track's the best part.
Of course, a fairly recent addition to the kennels as well, so a lot of accolades must go to Robin and his team.
Oh, definitely. He's done a lot of work with her, and I only took her over last week, so I got the bit of good fortune there.
In terms of her future, where do we head to next?
Probably Wanganui for the Futurity.
And the other 2, second and third, will be heading there as well?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
Beautiful. Well done, Dave, and go enjoy the spoils.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
That was Dave Fahey with his thoughts around Opawa Hop. Roso, she was good in her heat after bombing the start. She got the jump perfect on Thursday evening, went out to Madrid and she got the job done, and she was in the Fahey kennel for around 10 days, so not a bad effort to get her to win a Group 1.
Yes, and I'm glad you pointed out there. Accolades too to Robin Wales and the team who put the polish on Opawa racing dogs as well. Terrific performance, Jean and Dave. I mean, they are dominant Group 1s generally around the country, but of course especially at Addington. But it doesn't come easy, Andy, and in the experience you've had with greyhound racing, yep, you can have top dogs. You've got to have them right on the night, and Jean and Dave constantly do that to qualify for the final and have the first 3 home, even if the winner is as a recent addition as that is an outstanding achievement once again. Just on her, Andy, she ran that 30:04 a couple of starts back. She's run sort of low 30s on another couple of occasions too, so it's not like a one-off. But she's certainly spot on about now and going forward and heading into the Futurity, as are 5 of the Oaks finalists there. She's out of Opawa Stella, who won 11, and she was out of Perfect Token, who Opawa Racing got in from Australia, had a truncated career, winning 8 from 19, Andy, but Perfect Token's been a great producer for Opawa Racing, including dogs like Opawa Swede, who won 100,000 and a New Zealand Cup in 2013, so a really nice line.
Certainly has been a super broody, there's no doubt about that. Things getting interesting into the first turn in terms of the minor place getters. Gem, who bombed the start, she's the dog in the 3. She ends up getting off the heels of Go Glow early. There's Gaz's Girl out the back. Awkward draw for Ophelia Ellen though, Roso, and certainly told for her.
She just couldn't quite get there. She was trying, wasn't she, to get around Bahama Queen, who got stepped on from behind there. It was difficult. Busy Flash got up on the heels there of Bahama Queen. Ophelia Ellen was flushed out a bit and sort of lost contact with the top 2. Jim making good, strong ground. Round her was Gaz's Girl, who made a mess of the start, as she quite often does. She's got a good mid-race burn. She's going to be in the Futurity series as well that we'll look at shortly, just that run telling on her, though, finishing in 5th spot. But off the lids there, coming off the one was Go Glow and into Opawa Hop, who took a bit of a nudge there, but she held up firm. She got to where she needed to be, Andy, which was in front round the first bend, and her speed did the rest.
It certainly did, and not something you often see in these Group 1 races. Every split of Opawa Hop's the fastest compared to that of her opposition, so she certainly does have the all-round game when she gets it right early.
Oh, she does, and there's a sense of timing about this for her, and you know, there have been times in the past where the Oaks form hasn't been especially strong, but this year I think, Andy, this particular dog and a couple of others in that Oaks field, they could be serious threats come the Futurity.
Also on Thursday evening, we had a really nice Class 5 sprint. It was the running of the Flair Sprint final. It was taken out by Randy Raccoon. You're looking for the dog in the blue rug of box number 4. Roso, he's been a greyhound who's always shown speed. He was a little bit dubious early on in his career getting off the boxes, but gee, his last 2 he's picked it, and he's a capable of type when he gets into clear air.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, he ran that maiden record, didn't he, at start 1, the 17.08, and we've kept an eye on him since then. He's won 9 of 13 now, placed on 3 other occasions. He's once out of the money. He's run that 17.08 to 7.10, a 7.14, which he's done twice now because that's what he posted there. Over Edge of Town, who's a quality sprinter, Andy, and I did enjoy and appreciate your analysis of Edge of Town's 5 misses from box number 1, because sometimes in greyhound racing, statistics don't tell the true story, and that was the case with Edge of Town there. Did appreciate box 1, just found a faster dog on the night in Randy Raccoon, whose older half-brother Rocket Raccoon, home in 4th spot, and Callum Ware, as he so often does, of course, has 1 or 2 of the fastest sprinters around Canterbury at any given time over the last few years.
He certainly does know how to put the polish on them, Callum. There's no doubt about that. And this bloke is certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming weeks in terms of sprint racing around Addington. Well, next Friday will be the final of the New Zealand Futurity. The heats will take place this Friday. We have 4 heats going around. Here's a look at the final field. Not the final field, I'm having a muzzer here. The futures win market for the final. Ringside is at 6.50. Robson 7.50, as is Thrilling Talk. Ringside, Roso, he's got a busy week coming up to Wanganui for this. He's in the final of the Invercargill Cup next Tuesday, and if he makes the final, back to Wanganui for that the following Friday.
Yes, certainly. Look, I'm a little surprised that he's at the top of the market there. He does have box 1 in his heat, but what I'd say about this market, Andy, is you're being given a chance, whatever you like. I don't think I'd talk you out of anything here. Certainly a couple that I wouldn't mind having a look at there at the 7.50 mark are Thrilling Talk and Robson. Diddley, I think, under consideration at $9. Trojan Horse, of course, the Derby winner at $9, but comes off a difficult run on Friday. And there's the Oaks winner, Opawa Hop, at $12. This is an open market futures-wise, and generally there's something that's quite a bit shorter, or even a couple, Andy, but not this time. So like I say, I think there's a couple there you'd be worth having a bit of a spec on. I know there's a lot of dogs coming from different parts of the country. Many haven't raced at Hat-Trick, but you take that chance. That's why you're getting those sorts of odds leading into the heats, because a few of those dogs are going to be a whole heap shorter, you'd imagine, come finals night.
Certainly a few there that look backable on an each-way basis. There's no doubt about that, and they will improve after getting a look at Wanganui if they make their way through the final. So heat number 1 will be race number 7 on the card come Friday evening. This is due to get underway at 7.07. In this we see Idle Dude going around, Thrilling Vice for Karen Walsh. Our Brad, who was a last start winner for the Fahey team, and a big time Alfie, a last start winner off the inside for Team Cole. We will take you back to have a look at Idle Dude though. This is him running second equal. You're looking for the dog in the gold rug of box number 5. Roso, he's a talented type, Idle Dude. We know how good he is on his day, and if he can get clear air early off a squeeze draw, he's certainly a big chance.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid performance here. He's dead headed for second with Nature's Gent, who's a dual Group 1 winner, multiple Group 1 winner as we know. He's done quite a nice job here. He's been 3rd in the Spion Rose on the track at Group 1 level. He's been 4th in the St Ledger at Group 1 level down at Addington. And he was 3rd in a heat of the Auckland Cup behind Ringside and Penny Mac. So he's been asked to measure up a few times by Marcy Flip, and by and large he has, Andy. He does find wins a little elusive at the top level. Most dogs do, of course, except for the very best. But I think he gets a heat here by which he can progress to another Group 1 final.
An interesting runner in the field is the Karen Walsh prepared Thrilling Vice, who comes up with a slightly awkward draw in the 7, although his wide stats are good. Roso, he's interesting for the fact that he's yet to race on a 2-turn track. All his form and all his starts around Cambridge and one start at Manawatu, so a little bit of an unknown around 2 turns.
Yes, certainly, and coming off a fall in the Derby, which obviously is not ideal, and some pain in the toes and the biceps muscle there post the race, so it hasn't been the ideal preparation, obviously. The thing about Karen Walsh is that she doesn't try dogs that she doesn't think will have some sort of chance. They're not thrown in on a whim, Andy, so I'll certainly be taking notes on all of them. I think Thrilling Talk is clearly the dog of hers that looks the leading chance, and the market reflects that as well. But dogs like Thrilling Vice, I think, again, this is the right sort of heat to me, Andy. We're about to talk about all about space, and she's not that well drawn out and 8 outside of Thrilling Vice there. But what I'm thinking is that this is a heat whereby a little bit of luck's going to go a long, long way.
It certainly looks that way. As you touched on, we'll go and have a look at all about space now. She comes up with box number 8 for her heat, and we'll take it back to her here. This is her winning off box number 2 in the black and white striped rug. She's won 5 from 32 around the 2-turn track here at Wanganui. She was solid enough on Monday at the Manawatu in behind Fair Dodger. Box number 8 not ideal for her though, Roso, as you touched on.
Yeah, that is the key, obviously, but I just think she might have the right sort of race here whereby she could get quite forward in this race. And she does have the ability too, over the closing stages, to round off a race. She can pull out some very good times, especially at the Manawatu. She did not so long ago there at 25 and 75. Good enough on Monday, I thought, and pretty good field, Andy. And you know, it was a tough track on Monday, so hopefully those dogs have come through that okay. The times were extremely slow. But I did talk to a part owner after that run on Monday, and look, they said they're not happy with the draw clearly. Box number 8 is not ideal for her, as you said, but she has got the right heat to be a chance, and of course she was an Auckland Cup finalist. She has got the capability to measure up in this company.
Heat number 2 for the New Zealand Futurity will be race number 8 on the card. This one will get underway at 7:38 p.m. Ringside, who was the pre-post favourite to take out the final, comes up with box number 1. New Zealand Oaks winner Opawa Hop in the 4, Mr. Matt in the 6, and Cheese and Chalker Dog with early speed comes up with box number 8. Ringside, he's the dog we'll take you back to have a look at first. This is him winning at Ascot Park at his last start. This was a heat of the Invercargill Cup. He's off box number 8. He gets there by a short margin, but the thing about this, Roso, so far in New Zealand, he has looked better around 2 turns. He comes up with box 1, and with sub 30 times to his name around Addington Raceway, there is no doubting this fella's ability.
Exactly, Andy. Look, I wouldn't normally pick this out for a video for a heat of the Futurity, but what I really liked there was the way that he overcame a check that halted his momentum, and he then had to measure up to Kiateri, who isn't as good a dog as Ringside, but is a strong dog, and Ringside won that bob. I thought overcoming that check that did cost him a bit of ground and momentum was very encouraging. He was able to go to Auckland and win first up there, so I think he can do that at Hattrick, and of course he was second in that Auckland Cup final, very fast time. What was it, second start at Addington as well, so I can understand why Ringside is near the top of the market, but he's a full point clear. Yeah, that will be interesting. But he gets the inside draw here, Andy. He gets every opportunity. Ray Adcock's never scared to travel his dogs, and as you say, this dog's got a big couple of weeks up. But again, Ray's been doing it for years, and he doesn't have to do it anymore to prove anything to anybody. He'd only be doing it because he believes that he's got the dog power to do it.
New Zealand Oaks winner Opawa Hop. She comes up with box number 4. First look at Wanganui for her come Friday evening. Roso, we've touched on her already a fair bit in the show, a greyhound with early speed, and if she can cop Wanganui first up, which is the main question mark, the majority of her racing so far has been around Addington. She's had one go at Dunedin where she fell over, and a couple of starts at Ascot for a 2nd and a 4th back in maiden. So away from Addington is the big question mark next to her name.
Yes, it is, Andy, and we've seen many a good dog go to hat-trick first up, and they haven't quite picked it. The Bramage lure at Addington, very different to what you get on the wire rope at hat-trick. It's very noisy there. I think sometimes the dogs think the lure's already there. When it's not, they've already sort of jumped their noses to the lids, bang, bang, bang. Lure comes, they're not ready for it because they're on the way back. That can happen. I guess that's why I think, Andy, like for bets on Friday night, I love these fields. The Futurity is a great race because it brings the males, the females together after the Derby and the Oaks, and it brings the imports and the New Zealand breds all together. So, and because it's towards the end of the season too, it's a very, very tough race to win and a good race to win. It's one of my favourite races of the year because of all of those reasons. But I think it's worth having a bet into that futures market. In terms of betting on Friday night, I'll be prepared to watch them because there's so many question marks. I think there's question marks that say, yes, you can back something at $7.50, $9 or $16 in the futures, but it might be tough to back them on the night. And I do put a power hop into that category.
An extremely talented greyhound who is fast on his day is Thrilling Talk for the Walsh team. He comes up with box number 5, which isn't ideal for him. This is him running second in a heat of the Hat-Trick Classic. In behind a Blazin' Audrey. He's off box number 2 in the black and white striped rug. He makes his way to the lead and Blazing Audrey reels him in late in the piece. Roso 520 at the top end of his range. He comes into this off the back of a handy enough second in the Derby behind Trojan Horse, but box 5 certainly won't make life easy.
No, it won't. That is definitely an issue. Having said that, set up a 499, 18.28 to the back mark. Not strong run home, as you say, top end of 520 metres. But the key area of a race, obviously, is early, and that's where Thrilling Talk can do it here, and I think is worth having a look at 7.50 in the market. Yes, there is risk involved, no question. That's why the reward is a bit better than you would imagine for a dog of his ability. Things very different to what he does at Cambridge. He went down narrowly in the Derby. It's a race we're going to have a look at later when we check out Robson in the final heat. But I do think that Thrilling Talk is worth the spec here, having had that run here, Andy, and having gone on under in a 29 and 95. And that experience on the track, not able to take the place in the Group 1 final after that, which was a great shame for Thrilling Talk, might be able to get a decent slice of the Group 1 Futurity come Friday week.
There is certainly no doubting his ability, Thrilling Talk. He's a fast animal, and if he can break the boxes clean and get out in front, he will give them something to chase for a very, very long way. Heat number 3 for the New Zealand Futurity on Friday evening will be race number 8 on the card. Race number 9 on the card at 8.05. Go Glow, second in the Oaks, comes up with 2. Ophelia Allen, third in the Oaks, comes up with box number 3. And the Derby winner, Trojan Horse, comes up with box number 7. But Roso, the key to this race lies with box number 1 and Fair Dodger, because as we all know, he will want to get away from the rail fairly badly.
He will, Andy, and we're going to have a look at an incident when he had box 1 in a heat of the Spion Rose and what they might expect on Friday night. The opposition, here he is in the red rug. This Bago Bye-Bye, the 3 dog here, who was obviously the hot favourite on this night and to win the futures, and he nearly got taken out of it at the first bend by Fair Dodger, but he managed to get through there, and Dodger running out centre track, and obviously dogs to his outside are being affected. This dog won on Monday off box number 6, and he beat a good field, and I saw trainer Mark Goodyear just after that, and Andy, Mark said to me, look, I want to apologise to the travelling South Island trainers that have drawn outside him. And it's very disappointing for Mark as well that the dog ends up drawing box number 1 here too, because he's got this dog in a really good form, and he's travelled this dog. He went down for the St. Leger heats, for example, down there at Addington, and he's been prepared to take on the best because he's got that sort of ability, Andy, but unfortunately because he runs wide, he has to be even that bit better again. It makes it tough when he meets the best dogs. It would have been great for this dog to draw wide in the form that he's in. He won a sprinted hat-trick last week. Obviously, box 1's not going to help him, and it's not going to help the dogs on the outside. And I guess what we've got to find, Andy, is who might be able to get to that bend ahead of Fair Dodger and avoid any potential trouble.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Go Glow or Ophelia Allen. Both bitches, Ophelia Allen weighing in at around 26 kilos, so Fair Dodger with a good 4 or 5 kilo advantage on her as well. If she's on the wrong side of him into the turn, it could end very, very messily for her, that is for sure. Another greyhound in this is Big Time Rod. He was a nice last start winner at Wanganui. We're looking for the dog, two back. He raced at Manawatu on Monday as well. So we're looking for the dog in the white ruck here of box number 3. This was his first go back out of the Derby. He gets the job done here, Roso. It's solid enough. He clocked a 30 and 35. He's been able to break 30 seconds in the past at Wanganui, and with a clear run, if he can get that, he is a definite contender.
Yeah, there's a few ifs in this race, isn't there, Andy? Look, that's him going past Big Time Annie. Well, she's not strong at the top end. So, like you say, it's a solid performance. It's an intermediate grade performance. But he has got that sub 30. That was a bit of a one-off. Look, he's a fast dog. He's always looked good right from the off, this dog. But he's drawn up the middle here. He was beaten in a head bobber on Monday with Big Time Caleb. I'm not sure he appreciated the track, really. He didn't seem to have a lot of traction across the top when he had the winning of the race, but he did pick up late in the piece to narrowly be beaten. I hope there are no dogs that have got drained batteries after Monday and are running on a very testing track. Rod will rely on some luck. 4th in the Derby, though, 3 back, and a dog, I think, capable and worthy of a place in the Futurity final if he can make his way through. But if you're on him, you will be holding your breath at the first bend, I'd imagine.
New Zealand Derby winner Trojan Horse. He comes up with a wide draw, but we know he is certainly fast enough to get out in front of the trouble early. This is him off the black rug of box number 7. Look at that pace he shows early there, 4.97. This is what he needs to do, Roso, and if he can do this, clear them into the turn, there's a big chance he misses Fair Dodger and then he becomes the one they have to beat.
That's the key to this race, I think, Andy, and that's why I've got him on top, although I don't actually think that he will win the Futurity overall. I wouldn't be backing him on the futures, but he's a very real chance to get through because of his early pace. This wasn't a fast track this day. 30.47 proved to be the fastest. It was a great finish there. Glad Daryl had that one. That was a beauty. He did well too, Daryl Robinson. That's tough when there's 4 and 5 across the track and you're trying to spit them out. And he's pretty accurate on the line there, Daryl. He does a good job. And look, I think he can clear them. He ran on Monday, Andy. He ran last. He led out. He was not suited by the track, clearly. I hope he hasn't got tired legs after that. He led up in 4.97, that race we've just seen. Not so long ago, he'd been hanging on in a 30.04 and sort of 30.11. That sort of ability will have him forward in the final. I think he can get through the final. I think he clears them here. And there's almost certain to be some trouble in behind for other dogs. So I think on the night, he's a top tip. I'm not sure that he can add the Futurity to the Derby, to be frank, but he is the Derby winner and well done to him.
The 4th and final heat for the New Zealand Futurity will be the 10th on the card on Friday evening. This one due to get underway at 8.35, and it's a really nice little heat. Didda Lee comes up with the 2, Big Time Kiss in nice form comes up with the 4. The talented Big Time Morocco, who's been disappointing of late, comes up with the 5, and then Robson, who was probably one of the biggest certainty beats in the Derby, comes up with box number 7. Didda Lee, though, we'll take you back to have a look at first. This is him winning the Auckland Cup off box number 4 in the blue rug. Roso, he's a greyhound that can do it at both ends at times when he gets the right kind of run, which he should here off box number 2. What did you make of his last start at Wanganui, though?
Look, he was midfield to the bend. He did get checked and then kind of checked again. His tail went up in the air. So I'm willing to forgive him. He ran through the line okay, even though he was at the back of the field. Time before, we're going to have a look at the Derby soon. Robson, clearly the unlucky runner in the Derby. That was him getting past ringside there, of course, and Penny Mac 3rd in that race with Diddley's 2nd Group 1 win. So yes, willing to forgive him at hat-trick, Andy. And the time before, look, he was going to be in that Derby up to his ears as well going into the first bend, and he just couldn't quite hold his feet there with the pressure that was there, and he was on the inside. So I wouldn't be dropping him too quickly. I think he gets the right sort of heat here. I've got him in for 2nd behind Robson because I think Robson can deliver on this particular track. But yeah, Didda Lee, what a season he's had. I wouldn't have picked him as a dual Group 1 winner at the start of the season. But I tell you what, Andy, it's not impossible to see him ending up as a triple Group 1 winner. He is a chance overall, I do believe, in the Futurity.
Definite contender. There is no doubting his ability. Didda Lee, if he gets the right run and turns up on the night, he's a very, very talented animal. We'll take you back now to have a look at the Derby. So Robson is the greyhound we're showing you here. He comes up with box number 2. He doesn't quite pick it as well as we know he can. There's Diddley in the red rug of box number 1. Roso, my immediate thought at box rise was Diddley was probably going to win the race, and then, as you said, Trojan Horse just cut him off into the turn. That was the end of the race for him. Robson hitting the rail, so his run home was super. Both greyhounds extremely unlucky.
Yes, no doubt they were the inside too, and sometimes it's funny, it's been a few derbies where being on the inside hasn't been the place to be, and it certainly worked out on that occasion. Well done to Trojan Horse, obviously, to the Cold Kennels and to Craig Rendell. I wasn't here for the derby wrap, but this horse, he's called Horse, he's a dog, Trojan Horse. He had been a Group 1 place getter. He had gone from strength to strength as the season unearthed, and of course box speed can win races, and although I've said that he can't necessarily win the Futurity final, he's got box speed, so therefore you've got to say, well, actually he can, because he can be out in front. Andy, it's a case of saying, will Robson go to hat-trick and be able to reproduce the form that we've seen at the one-turn tracks, like obviously Cambridge and Manawatu, where he won the Golden Chase? But I do believe he can. He's been a 520 metre winner at Kennington in Perth before he came out here. He's drawn outside Gaz's Girl, who'll be slow. It's going to be an interesting race, but I think Robson can take up a reasonable spot on the inside. Big Time Lila's a bit squeamish in box number 1, Andy. That could be interesting early with Diddley next door. Lila, the time she's had box 1's wanted off a wee bit as well. And I think Robson could get into a nice spot here and maybe finish off. Andy, just on Big Time Rocco that you mentioned, he's only been beaten once on this track in 7 starts. He's got some fast times to his name. He was very unlucky when he was second in his only defeat. And that last race at Cambridge, he was starting to surge into the race, and guess who he got on the outside of? Dog called Fair Dodger, and he just had a running battle with the Dodger all the way through from there on in. So I can see Rocco picking up here. I've got him in for 3rd in this heat, and I think he might be a chance back on his favourite track. Time
now to have a look at the Dog Zone dogs to follow. Here's a wrap from last week where I had 3 bets. Big Time Rod getting home at a quote of $2.70. Philippa, 4 bets for 1 placing. Fancy Fox, a nice 3rd from him. Roso, it's time that you step back up to the plate here, mate. You've had a couple of weeks away. You couldn't even send in some selections, which was highly disappointing, but it's time for you to go 3 from 3 or 4 from 4 here, to be honest.
Look, I'll do my best. Right, what are we going to do? I'm looking to downgraders this week, and we've got a downgrader in Dangerous. It's Idle Nifty Race 2 on that very good card featuring 4 Futurity heats and other good races on the support card there on Friday. Idle Nifty, Race 2, number 3, downgrades, and I'm expecting good things there from Idle Dude's brother. Hey Fernando in Race 5. Gee, that's a good field, Andy, and I just think we might get okay each way odds around Hey Fernando, the 3 there. Ginger Lauren downgrades in race number 12 and is a touch fresh. Is over 4 now, but I think she can handle that field. And on Monday, Big Time Leads is another downgrader. Quite a big drop in class. It's not a bad class 2 field, and he will have to use box number 1. But Andy, I'm relying on the downgraders. How about you?
The connections of Hey Fernando and Ginger Lauren want to count themselves lucky because they all but made it into mine, so that would have been dog zoned and they would have been no chance. But what we'll do now is have a look at Philippa. She's going to hit back this week, as we know she's capable of doing. Downgraded, Smash Damage comes up with box number 1 at Eddington on Thursday. Boxed well, no refusal off the 1 at Eddington, also on Thursday. And Thrilling Talk, He's Stronger, comes up with box number 5 at Wanganui Friday. Mine, I think Wheelie Wheels can bounce back to winning form off box 4 at Eddington. Ring Clown drawn up beautifully at box number 1. Sorry Melky, but I'm going with Hear This as well on Friday. Think she drops back in trip and looks dangerous from box number 2. And a little bit of each way value around Never Knew. Her 520 metre starts have had some merit to them so far, and think it can bounce back into the winner's circle as well. Roso, that's all we have time for here. I'm sure you're looking very much forward to Friday evening.
I certainly am, Andy, and also looking ahead to Monday, race 13 at 4:06, a 660 metre race there with Ebby Ripper and Rippin' Sam. Now, he trialled post to post last week, Andy, and he's a Group 1 winner, of course, in Australia, won not far off 400,000. Ebby Ripper's second start in this country has won around 300,000. Corborn Taylor's in there, and Don't Knock a G, who's a 660 metre specialist, of course. And on the subject of the Futurity, last year's winner Corborn Krusty resumes on Monday in race number 14, Andy. So, yep, Friday and Monday. CD racing's pretty hot over the next week.
Can't wait to see either of those days, and to see Rip and Salmon debut in the country will certainly be exciting. Well, that's all we have time for here on Dog Zone. We'll be back next week with more racing reviews and previews of greyhounds from around the country. But until then, happy punting.